Hey guys, this is Emily. Today on Emily, we're going to do a kind of a modern day shag with a really heavy fringe. So we're going to start off with the sectioning here. And you can see that I've sectioned off from about the front of the crown to the recession. So a little triangle section there in the front. From there, I divided it kind of the natural round of the top of the head there to each side of the mastoid process. So I've just got these 4 little zones. So a big one in the back where the fringe is, and then 2 on the side. Going to start the haircut directly in the front. So we're just going to take a section that is right in the center on the front there. And I'm going to kind of put one side off that I'm not going to work on. So I'm just taking a horizontal section straight across the hairline. And we're going to work the fringe first. So just pulling everything straight down and out, keeping my fingers parallel to the section angle. What that's going to do is really allow the fringe to kind of stay kind of squared off versus kind of dipping down on the sides. So I don't want the fringe to frown at me. And then it's just repeating the process from there. So section 2 is pulled onto section 1. Slightest bit of elevation there just so it bevels the edge and helps kind of push the fringe down. And just going to repeat the process. So just working backwards, pulling everything forward, over directing forward, and create that heaviness in the fringe that we want. So not necessarily pulling it straight forward to the front, but just forward from where it lives within the section. Last one here, just connecting through. So we're going to repeat the process on the opposite side. And I'm going to use the middle piece as my guide from the right side to work into the left. So you'll notice my finger angle mirrors my section angle. So that's really important, I think, when you're working with this kind of shape. Just keeping everything really heavy, over directing the hair forward, keeping the elevation quite low, just kind of straight off the round of the head. So that way when it lays down, it just bevels in slightly into the forehead. Last one through here. Everything straight forward. Just cutting along the same line. Kind of checking the balance as I work. Pretty happy with that shape. Can show you guys there. So just real square and flat to the sides. So working into the second panel there on the left, just behind the fringe, just take a vertical section from the top of the section down into the hairline and just bringing everything 90 degrees off the head shape here. So it's a very convex layer that's going to happen through the sides. Each section of this haircut will be completely disconnected from the one before it. So we started in the fringe, then we're working into the sides. But no guideline was set for this in relation to the fringe. I wanted there to be a lot of movement in the haircut, and that's the way that we're going to achieve that, is by disconnection versus using a lot of point cutting and a lot of dry work. So section 2, just pulled straight out from the head, using section 1 as the guide, and just working slightly down and just repeating the process. So here's section 3. Just bringing everything straight out from the head. So not really over directing it forward into the previous section, just bringing everything straight off, just allowing it to kind of follow the head shape. And really kind of just loosen some of that weight up when we saw it was really heavy there towards the front. So here's the last one. You kind of see I've got all of the sections just in my fingers right here, kind of tilting the head away from me so it's easier for my body position to work and makes it easier for me to kind of work down into the hairline on each side. Kind of comb that down so you can see it. Just loosened up some of that weight so it's not so bulky through the bottom. And then just kind of combing the fringe down too, just to see what the connection's like. So repeating the process, vertical section from the top kind of point of that section down into the hairline, grooming everything out of the way. So that way, when I decide to cut, it'll make it easier. Now there is a connection point here, just using the length from the top of the layer on the other side and connecting through that way. So there is a connection from side to side, but there's no connection from the fringe into the side panels. Process is the same, working the hair straight out from the head, working from the top down, maintaining consistent elevation and over direction. So section 2, using section 1 as a guide, but just bringing everything straight out from the head shape, working really cleanly. Here's section 3, same thing, everything brought straight out from the head, using the previous as a guide. Maintaining a comfortable body position so I'm not leaning over too far. So a lot of times what I'll do is just kind of tilt the head away from me a little bit, and that'll help me. Or once I have a guide established, I can work from the bottom up into the top. Always being mindful of the way that my body feels when I'm working, so that way I'm not putting undue stress on myself and therefore kind of cheating the technique. If I work really cleanly, then the technique will always be correct and my body will feel better as a result. So working from the bottom up on this side a little bit now. Last section, just kind of combing down, give you an idea of the balance of each side. Just visually taking a look and seeing if I like the overall shape, give it a little shake out. See if the texture kind of expands for me a little bit. Work into the back, start dead center. Work in a vertical section. Always working clean, always keeping my grooming under control, making sure that I'm allowing myself the easiest path to success by keeping everything really clean. So I'm taking a guide from the fringe area now. So that length there is the longest of the fringe, and then just connecting that through as a kind of a visual clue of the length that I want the back to be. And then just elevating everything in that first section straight up. So we went from a really low elevation in the front to a convex layer through the sides, and now a concave layer through the back. So section 1, everything was brought straight up. Section 2 is the exact same thing. Just using section 1 as a guide, elevating the hair straight up, and removing the maximum amount of weight based on our elevation. This is also great to kind of preserve the length through the back. My elevation is helping to protect the length that sits through the bottom. Here at this angle, you can kind of see the sectioning a little bit better. So really just elevating everything straight up, really just removing that top little bit of length, taking that weight off, allows the hair on the bottom to kind of kick out a bit more. So here's the wet shape, complete. Went through and kind of roughed it up with my hands a bit to see the texture before I come in with the blow dry. With the blow dry, what we wanted to do is keep a really small shape, so just flat wrapping, using a tight toothbrush, no blow dryer no nozzle on the blow dryer. Just really want to kind of diffuse the hair, diffuse the air, and help the hair blow dry a little bit more smooth. So just working back and forth, keeping everything really small into its natural position, so not taking anything that lives on the top and pushing it down to the sides or anything. Really just moving the hair around as easily as possible in its natural fall while trying to maintain a nice bit of shine on the hair. If you blow dry like this, you can try to avoid ironing as much as possible. So it keeps the integrity of the hair better, and it creates a nice shine. So just kind of rough drying now, just seeing what the texture is going to do. Just moving it around with my hands. So it's pretty much finished. Now it's just kind of going in and decorating now. You can see the polish and the shine on the hair. So just taking a rounded section through the top, and then I'm going to elevate this hair up. Just straight up to the ceiling. And I'm just taking that slight little corner off right there that sat in the middle as we work from side to side. So just kind of flattening out that little bit right through the front. Same thing, just working forward. You can see me point at it, just kind of taking that corner off. I think it just allows it to sit on the head shape a little bit better, just a little bit. So you'll notice, like with refinement, it's not a lot of point cutting for me for this particular look, so much as it is just kind of connecting areas and softening the technique a little bit. So again, on the sides, working rounded, pulling everything straight up, and then just dusting through. So I'm not trying to demolish everything that I did. I just want to soften as much as possible without really changing the technique. So working to the other side, rounded section, just remove that corner there. Again, just lifting up, just kind of dusting the ends just to soften a little. Not trying to overdo it. I think we can get a little scissor happy as hairdressers working a refinement, when really the majority of the haircut was done during the wet relationship, and this is just kind of the part where we get to add our own little flair. Could have left it alone and it would have looked fine. This is just a way to spice it up a bit. So really just elevating this hair up. The higher I elevate it, the softer it's going to get. Kind of going through and shaking it out, just looking at the texture. Now here I'm just connecting the length on the sides to the length in the back. So pulling everything out to the side a bit and just removing that little bit of a corner there, just so there's not a dip in the weight where the hairline is. Just kind of working diagonal back sections. See it on this side as well. Even when dry, clipping it up out of the way, over directing everything forward slightly, and just barely taking off that corner, just connecting the back to the front. I chose to do this when it was dry because I just wanted to see the result of the haircut, because sometimes it's okay to leave a little bit of disconnection there on the perimeter, but I just thought this was a better look for her. Just assessing the shape. Kind of work through. And now, once I've gone through and created the shape, I can go in with a little bit deeper point cutting and really just kind of shatter that layer out some. But even still, not like going super aggressive. Just two little panels there, just enough to kind of soften that one little spot out. Always checking. Working into the fringe, just connecting the length that sits right above the brow bone into the sides a bit, just widening it out. And I think it's a really nice look to kind of open the face up some. And then elevating the fringe, because it was cut at such a low elevation, just to help kind of soften it some so it's not so heavy. Same thing on the opposite side, just using the tips of the scissors, really just pointing in and opening up the face a bit. Any hair that doesn't really belong, just kind of taking it away. And now really just visually slide cutting into the fringe. You know, certain aspects of the haircut you have a lot more freedom in, and I think it's important that you kind of understand the foundation of the haircut before you can really go in and do something like this. But yeah, just sliding in, just really releasing a lot of that texture. If she wears this kind of natural and curly, it's going to help expand it a bit more. So just kind of rough drying it here. Again, just checking, visualizing the shape. I always want to make sure that if I blow dry it around, it won't look bad any way that I put it. little bit of finishing hairspray. Nothing too strong, just enough to kind of give it some hold and a little bit of grittiness. And again, just shaking it out, moving it around, using my fingers to kind of style it the way that I want to, getting her set up for the shoot part. Kind of visual aspect of it there. And here you can see the finished result. Just a really shattered, kind of modern day shag. It's got a lot of movement and texture. I think it works really great for her. Thank you.